So here's some food for thought. And I'm pretty much out of time, so I'm going to run through this quickly. If the U.S. has 5% of the world population and uses 70% of the world's pharmaceuticals, what does that tell you? The third leading cause of death behind cancer and heart disease is iatrogenic death. That means death by medicine. That's very significant. Also, there were over 106,000 deaths due to prescription drugs annually, and you can read that in Barbara Starfield's report. Drugging is a social control mechanism that's used for unruly children, prisoners, used in residential treatment facilities and nursing homes. And again, as I said, there are only 2 countries in the world that allow direct-to-consumer advertising. The international community is openly questioning our medical treatment of children. There will be a time that we will look back in the future and we will be ashamed that we did this to our kids. And so it behooves us to take a look at this problem now. Also, just as there was a cultural change that was required regarding smoking, we've got to make a paradigm shift to get children off of psychotropic drugs. We're crippling our future by committing the lives of children to millions of lives of children to a lifetime of chemical dependency. And in a billion-dollar industry, as I said before, million-dollar fines are just chump change. They do not mean anything at all to these people. They put these kiddies aside when they have drugs that come out, anticipating that there will be lawsuits, and so they're going to have a certain amount of money that they have put aside specifically for these lawsuits. And the loss of life, unfortunately, is just the collateral damage. They expect a certain number of the patients to die on these drugs. So what can we do? What can we do? You've heard this before. You have to be the change that you want to see in the world, right? So we can self-educate. Do your own due diligence. Get online. If you're prescribed a drug, before you go to the pharmacy and you fill that prescription, get online and Google up not only the name of that drug, but then put in the search engine behind it, side effects and controversy. And then hold on to your hat. And remember I said this, where there's smoke in this industry, there's fire. So do a little bit more research and get educated about this before you decide to fill that prescription. Be your own health advocate. Stop handing your power over to figures of authority. Take personal responsibility for your health. We have been acculturated to give our power away so that we are more easily controlled. You have got to stand up and be responsible for yourself, for your families, and for your children. Also, you have to be proactive. Your body is an engine. You need to move it. You need to exercise. You need to take care of yourself by eating the proper foods. If we are what we eat in America, we're all fast, cheap, and easy. And we have to manage our stress. Stress is one of the biggest factors for disease, and that's the reason why cortisol is called the death hormone. We also need to nurture our relationships. We need to be more compassionate. We need to care about our families, about our neighbors, about our friends. We have to stop looking at our differences and the diversity in society and start connecting with one another. We are all part of the human family. And you have to be here now. Be present. Be grounded. Be in your body so that you can be the spiritual being that you were sent here to be. You are not here by accident. You chose to come here, just as I did, because I had a mission. And you have to simplify your life, people. We have been programmed to consume. And if you don't believe that we're programmed to consume, think about on 9/11 when President Bush came out. What did he tell us we could do to help? Go shopping. I almost fell off the couch. Go shopping. That's what your solution is. Make more money for the corporations. No, consume less. Decide that you don't need a new phone every 2 years, that you don't have to have all the latest fashions, that you don't have to live in a 4,000 square foot home, that you don't have to drive a new modeled car. You can do better, and you can change the world by making a choice with your money not to support these people. So again, you must be the change that you want to see in the world. So what can you do as an individual? You can, okay, that was as individuals. What can you do as groups? You can form a community of like-minded individuals. You can explore sustainable alternatives for food, water, and energy. You can eliminate the support of power structures designed to limit human potential. And I don't care if that means government, education. If you have to homeschool your kids because they're being forcibly drugged, then the onus is on you if you go ahead and do it, because I've told you this information. You all now share a moral obligation with me to disseminate this information. And you can no longer say you don't know this, because you do. Also, you need to nurture your community bonds through local decision making and through sharing of resources with one another. Things may get hard in the future, and that's the time when you need to reach out and help one another and bond in a community way. So because I'm a person that walks my talk, I sold my big house in suburban Austin, Texas. I sold all my big furniture, my grand piano, 2 of my automobiles. I packed up all of my belongings in a 44-foot container, and I moved to a permaculture community in Costa Rica. And here I am with my husband. I took my son, my 2 cats, my 2 dogs, and moved into the middle of the jungle. We have a biodigester that biodigests all of our human waste and produces our methane gas. We have solar panels that produce our electricity. We have clean water in the rivers that run around our property. We grow 70% of our food in our organic garden that we share. And we have tilapia ponds. I'm standing here by one of our tilapia ponds where we raise tilapia and freshwater shrimp. We also have the biodome where we have our gardens, and we come in, and every Monday we get a share of our fresh produce and our greens, and we share that in our community so that we have fresh foods that are locally sourced that we know are clean for our bodies. This is the kind of nightlife that I now enjoy with my neighbors around the fire, and this is the traffic jams that I have to deal with. Because this is on the road to a farmer that lives very close to my house. I now have a new mission. I have moved on because what we focus on expands. We are the creators of our reality. So I have chosen to move on to the solutions to this problem. And I have created a new business called The Mental Alchemists. And we are holding retreats in Costa Rica so that you can come and experience what it's like to be next to nature, which you can get a red pill conference and get the truth, but you can also be close to God and nature, and you can also enjoy the benefit of clean air, clean water, and clean minds. This is my old website. If you want any of the information or want to refer people to good information and resources about the drugs and the things that we've talked about, this is one way of doing so, and I highly encourage you to go to gwenolsen.com and see what I have to share there. Again, I make my living now as a writer and a speaker, and so I would ask for your support in buying my book, Confessions of an RX Drug Pusher. It is self-published, and I have to sell a certain number of copies every year in order for them to keep producing it. And also, if there is anybody who knows of a good publisher or translator that might put it out in Spanish, since I live in Costa Rica, I would really love to get that information from you. It is out in French, but I haven't read it in French because I only speak Spanish, Portuguese, and English. So, I want you to know that we live in a free will universe, and if you haven't thought about that, you have to consent to this stuff being done, okay? We talked about the fact that the planet's in crisis, that the human population is in crisis, and if we don't speak up and use our voices, if we don't step into our power, we have given our tacit consent for these things to happen. So I want each and every one of you to repeat after me if you are inclined to do so. I do not consent to the destruction of the human race, nor to that of our planet Earth. We are the ones we have been waiting for, and we are here to change the world. That's right, because you know what? Sometimes you have to be your own hero. So I would like to ask you all to be true to yourselves. Step into your power. Put aside your fear-based thinking, because there is nothing to fear but fear itself. You truly are a magnificent spiritual being here having a human experience. And together, we can change the world. So go forth and be a force of the awesome. Thank you.